What started as a simple story, a new ballet company breaking industry norms, quickly turned into something far darker. Meet Ashley, an ambitious young dancer married to Douglas, a man 30 years her senior. Together, they dreamed of a ballet company that celebrated diversity in height and physique. But as their passion project unfolded, so did one of their true motives, and soon, love turned to fear and accusations. Poisoning attempts, threats, and a gunshot during a heated argument shattered their once glamorous romance. Could Ashley's dreams of ballet fame really hide a sinister side? What's really lurking behind the curtains of this deadly pas de deux? Let's investigate. September 28, 2020. Eva Benefield, the daughter of Doug Benefield and his first wife, Renee, woke up to a pretty unusual morning. Usually, her dad, Doug, would send her a Bible verse every single day. But not that day. She started feeling an anxiety creep in, and as the minutes ticked by, she got more and more worried. In her panic, she sent a bunch of texts. But no response came from her dad. Later on, after chatting with an uncle who had just reached out, everything changed in a moment. He hit her with the heartbreaking news. Her dad had died. Eva's gut told her something was off. She blurted out, "She killed him, didn't she?" referring to Ashley, Doug's partner. Unfortunately, her uncle confirmed her worst fears. Doug had been shot twice by Ashley. To know who these people are and what really happened between them, we need to go back to August 2016. On this day, Doug first met Ashley at a dinner in Florida, and he was instantly carried away by her youthful charm. She was gorgeous, and they hit it off over their shared conservative values and love for firearms. Ashley even brought guns to their first meeting, hidden in her purse and bra. At that time, Ashley was working in the Sarasota campaign office for Donald Trump, trying to inspire the crowd to get excited about the upcoming election. She was a real force at rallies, and there were videos of her hyping up the crowds everywhere. On top of all that, she had a background in the arts. She was an aspiring swimsuit model and a dancer with the Maryland Youth Ballet, where she lit up the stage in performances like the Nutcracker. And that's exactly how things went so wrong, just a few years after their seemingly perfect start. Right after their meeting, Doug had to go for a business trip. When he finally got back, things between him and Ashley had really heated up. Like within just a week, they were in a lovey-dovey relationship. Now, Doug was a pretty religious guy, and he was set on marrying Ashley before getting physical. So the wedding ceremony was arranged, but Doug kept the guest list pretty tight. He didn't even invite his own 15-year-old daughter, Eva, who he absolutely loved. That part really threw Doug's cousin, Tommy Benefield, off. Tommy thought he could have talked Doug out of rushing into this marriage, and Eva? Yeah, she was hit hard by the whole situation, especially since she was still trying to deal with the loss of her mom just 9 months before. Doug's first wife and Eva's mom, Renee, had passed away from a heart problem no one knew about, and it was Eva who found her dead. That was a lot for a kid to handle. After Renee died, Doug stepped up big time, taking care of Eva and being there for her emotionally. But then, just 9 months later, he started this whirlwind romance with Ashley, and it turned their world upside down. Doug tried to push Ashley into being a mother figure for Eva, despite the age gap between them. Then things got a bit messy when Eva's friend Sydney came into the picture, which stirred up tension among the three women and Doug. In one heated moment, Doug got furious and fired a gun into the ceiling. He totally regretted that later, but it was a clear sign of all the chaos and emotions swirling around their changing family dynamics. So, right after that crazy gun incident, Doug and Ashley decided to throw a wedding reception just 2 days later. Plus, they were excited about Ashley's big dream of starting an inclusive ballet company, even though they knew it wouldn't be smooth sailing. To kick things off, they brought in ballet master Michael Wise to help with training and managed to get a cool $10 million in funding. They named their new venture the American National Ballet, ANB. Now, Doug didn't know much about ballet, but he was all business and approached everything with a plan. Ashley was seen as this young go-getter, and people really believed in her vision for the company. In summer 2017, they held auditions, and dancers started showing up, including Armana Hemsley, who loved the idea of an inclusive mission. Athena Nikolopoulos also got inspired by what Ashley was trying to do. But here's the twist. Ashley wanted to get pregnant, and that threw a wrench into their family life, adding extra stress on top of raising their 2 teenage daughters. By late summer 2017, around 40 dancers showed up in Charleston ready to work with Ashley. But things weren't what they had been promised. Doug had to break the news that Ashley was stuck in bed due to a tough pregnancy and wouldn't be around for a while. Rehearsals kicked off in a backup location, and it was clear there was a serious lack of prep. The dancers found out they'd only get half the pointe shoes they needed, like a sports team not having enough gear to go around. Payment issues started piling up, and Doug, feeling the financial heat, started pulling cash from his own pocket to pay the dancers, which didn't help build trust at all. They all hoped that when Ashley finally returned, things would smooth out. But she ended up moving back to Florida because of her tough pregnancy. That left Doug to deal with the ballet, and the dancers felt for him, sympathizing with the situation he was in. In September, the scene between Doug and Ashley started to get worse. While Doug was off attending some fancy ballet event, Ashley dropped a bombshell. She announced they were separating. She even left behind a shocking note that laid out all the reasons for her decision, hitting him with some serious accusations about being possessive and behaving in ways that made her scared for her safety and for their unborn child. While everyone thought they were a happy family, it came out as a big surprise. Things got even crazier when Ashley accused Doug of poisoning her and made it clear she wanted nothing to do with him anymore. But Doug wasn't ready to let go. He flooded her with desperate pleas to take him back. This pushed Ashley to bring in the cops. She reported him to Child Protective Services in Florida, claiming he had anger issues and had been involved in some gunfire incidents in the past. This investigation turned into a real nightmare for their daughter Eva, who stood up for her dad. Doug got a psychological evaluation and came out clean, but running the ballet company became a tough gig for him. By mid-October, Ashley quit, and there were whispers that it wasn't her choice. Doug brought in new leadership, and they made some massive changes that led to the firing of half the dancers on October 23, 2017, all while Doug wasn't even around. Ashley took to social media to vent her heartbreak over how everything they built together had crumbled. And just like that, the American National Ballet fell apart, leaving Doug with a staggering $100,000 in losses. It was a messy end to a chapter that had turned chaotic. On top of all that, Ashley started questioning the circumstances surrounding Doug's first wife, Renee's death. She couldn't shake the feeling that something shady had gone down, even though the autopsy said Renee died of a heart attack due to a 75% artery blockage. Ashley shared her suspicions with Doug's cousin Tommy, suggesting Doug might have poisoned Renee, despite him being out of town when it happened. The local police had closed the case back in 2016 after looking over the coroner's report. But Ashley still had doubts. Things got twisted when she opened up about this to her journalist friend, Alice Robb. Ashley was convinced that Doug had poisoned her during her pregnancy. She was feeling super nauseous and thought it wasn't just normal pregnancy stuff. Something felt really off. Now Doug had no clue about any of this. Fast forward to November 2017, and he sends Ashley a birthday gift. It was a cute teapot and some specialty tea that was supposed to be great for pregnant women. But instead of feeling grateful, Ashley freaked out. She worried that the tea might be poisoned, so she took it straight to the police. They tested it, but thankfully, there were no toxins found. Still feeling uneasy, Ashley decided to test her hair, and that's when things got really weird. The tests showed high levels of metals like aluminum and zinc. Doug's lawyer jumped in, saying that those results didn't match up with Ashley's previous medical tests and claimed everything was normal. Then, in early 2018, things took a turn. Ashley checked herself into Tampa General Hospital, saying she was worried about heavy metal exposure for her baby. She accused Doug of abuse and stalking, and they even gave her a different name for safety reasons. It was Christina, her middle name. By March 2018, she gave birth to a healthy baby girl through C-section. But here's the kicker. She believed that Doug was a danger to both her and their daughter, so she started going for daily treatments, convinced they were being poisoned. Doug didn't even find out he had a daughter until over a month later. Not only that, but the baby didn't have his last name, and he wasn't even listed as her father on the birth certificate. Ashley was determined to raise her daughter all on her own, still blaming Doug for the loss of their first child, Renee. Things got darker when Ashley and her mom, Alicia, confronted Doug's daughter, Eva. They claimed Doug was somehow involved in her mother's death and warned her that she might be in danger too. But Eva believed her dad was innocent. Since Doug got to know about everything, he found himself in a pretty sticky situation. People were pointing fingers and throwing accusations around, but in the end, nothing stuck. He was never charged, and the whole thing was brushed off as baseless. Meanwhile, Ashley, who was feeling pretty overwhelmed, turned down requests for interviews but claimed that she and her little girl had been poisoned. To get them both back on track, she signed up for 26 days of hyperbaric chamber treatments, making her 3-month-old daughter the youngest patient ever to go through it. Fast forward to 2018, and things took a wild turn in Bradenton, Florida. Doug wanted to spend time with his daughter, but Ashley was asking for a restraining order against him. When they got to court, things got messy. Ashley kept changing her story about her pregnancy, which made the judge skeptical of her claims about the poisoning. Because of that, Doug got the green light for visitation. Then, out of the blue, Ashley suggested they hang out as a family. Doug thought this was a good move for their daughter, so he went along with it and even moved closer, hoping they could patch things up. But come August 2019, Doug got a shocker. Ashley was engaged to someone else. That was the last straw, so he filed for divorce in November. Then again, out of nowhere, Ashley accused him of hurting their daughter, while there was no evidence to support this claim. By March 2020, Doug had reached out to the sheriff's office claiming that Ashley might have a split personality. But soon after, he was all about trying to make things work with her again and even planned to move to Maryland. His friends were worried, but Doug was optimistic, thinking this was a chance for a fresh start and sharing his excitement about it publicly. Finally, then came September 27, 2020. Doug was in the middle of moving with Ashley, their young daughter, and Ashley's mom, Alicia, from Florida to Maryland. While Doug was busy loading their U-Haul at Ashley's place, Alicia took the baby out for a stroll at a nearby park. Just a little while later, a neighbor heard some screaming and called 911. Things escalated quickly. Ashley showed up at another neighbor's house with a .45 caliber handgun, claiming she shot Doug in self-defense. That neighbor also called 911, saying that Ashley said Doug had attacked her. When the emergency responders arrived, they found Doug still conscious, but in bad shape. He had been shot in the leg and arm, and one bullet had even gone into his chest. Tragically, he passed away an hour later at Doctor's Hospital. It was a heartbreaking turn of events that nobody saw coming. Ashley, after shooting Doug, didn't get arrested right away because the authorities wanted to look into her claim that it was self-defense. But here's the catch. She wasn't really helping the detectives with their investigation. Her mom, Alicia, stepped in and told the cops about all the domestic abuse both she and Ashley had been dealing with for over 3 years. Now, Ashley's lawyer, Faith Brown, revealed that Ashley was actually planning to leave Doug. She had already lined up a safe place to go and even rented a car for her getaway. But as the detectives dug deeper into her self-defense story, something else came out. They found out that Doug wasn't even armed when the shooting happened. Ashley kept some details about the confrontation to herself, which led to her being charged with second-degree murder in November 2020. She pleaded not guilty, and in the meantime, her mother got custody of Ashley's kid. As the trial began, Ashley once again claimed that Doug had been abusive towards her, saying he threatened her and even tried to poison her. But this time, people started questioning her credibility, thinking maybe she had convinced herself of her own story. On the night of September 27, 2020, Ashley said she acted in self-defense during a showdown with Doug at her place. She claimed he showed up violently, knowing their relationship was over. He started yelling and trying to assert his dominance. So, things were getting pretty heated between Doug and Ashley. That time, Doug even slapped Ashley on the side of the head. Naturally, that sent her running to her bedroom where she grabbed her gun for safety. When she came back out, Doug was blocking the doorway, looking all kinds of aggressive. Ashley later said she was terrified and pointed the gun at him, shouting, "Stop!" But instead of backing down, Doug charged at her, and then he lunged. That's when Ashley couldn't help but shoot him in reflex. However, in court, it was a battle of narratives. The defense was painting Ashley as this poor victim of domestic abuse, while the prosecution insisted Doug was the real victim here. This trial took place in the summer of 2024, and it grabbed a lot of attention. The lead prosecutor, Susan O'Donnell, made a bold claim saying Ashley killed Doug just to keep her 6-year-old daughter, Emerson, from being taken away from her. She was scared she'd lose her place in her daughter's life. But defense attorney Neil Taylor fired back, saying Ashley was just defending herself from Doug's abusive behavior. She also mentioned that the night she left for Charleston, Ashley wrote Doug a letter saying she was scared for her safety. But family lawyer Stephanie Murphy thought about Ashley's letter. It seemed like Ashley thought slipping away would be easy, but Doug bombarded her with texts, begging her to stick around. It got so intense that she felt the need to report him, saying he had a serious anger problem and could be dangerous. The investigation cleared Doug of any wrongdoing. Ashley's lawyers were trying to get the case thrown out with the excuse of self-defense, but at this point the prosecutors weren't buying it. Doug's daughter Eva was present in the trial too, finally seeing Ashley after everything that had happened. During the trial, Eva took the stand and said she'd never seen her dad yell or threaten Ashley or anything like that. A neighbor named John, who had taken Ashley in after the shooting, also testified. He even played his 911 call where Ashley claimed Doug attacked her, but there were no signs of injury on her. But another shocking twist came later. The next day, Ashley's mom, Alicia, dropped a bombshell, saying Ashley hadn't told her anything about the shooting. This made everyone question whether Ashley's claims of abuse were legit. The prosecution even played a video from Doug's phone, filmed just a week before the shooting, showing Ashley having a good time with Doug and her mom. It definitely didn't look like someone who was scared for her life. Then Dr. Russell Vega, the medical examiner, detailed Doug's injuries, pointing out that he got shot in the chest and leg, and suggesting he might have been trying to run away when Ashley shot him. Ashley's lawyer also revealed a text from Doug's ex-wife, Renee, on an old phone. In it, she expressed disappointment in Doug's behavior during their marriage and mentioned some pretty alarming incidents, like him holding a gun to his own head. The defense argued that Doug was the real problem, bringing in experts who said Ashley was living in fear. The only problem was, there was no solid evidence to support all these claims. And in the end, the prosecutor flipped the script, saying Ashley was just trying to gain custody of their daughter and that her actions were premeditated. Finally, after nearly 7 hours of deliberation, the jury found Ashley guilty of manslaughter, deciding her actions weren't justified or premeditated. Doug's family felt a sense of justice, with Eva hoping to connect with Ashley's daughter, Emerson, to keep her dad's memory alive. Now Ashley's looking at up to 30 years behind bars, as the state attorney wants to hit her with the maximum sentence, because of the line she crossed that night. You see, this case is pretty similar to the film Black Swan, much like a psychological thriller involving ballet, ain't it? It shows a contrast between innocence and darker feelings. Doug saw Ashley as a gentle white swan, but her behavior showed that she had a more complicated and possibly darker side in reality. What's your take on this case? Do you think Ashley was some maniac, or did she have any hidden agenda from this? Or is it true that Doug was the ultimate villain and Ashley just couldn't prove it? Drop your views in the comments below, and remember, not always wives kill the husband. Sometimes husbands also become so crazy that they end up killing their wives in the most heinous way. Don't just take my words for it. Click and watch this case. This will change how you see the world. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more chilling content like this. See you soon.